Not all heroes wear capes. Some walk barefoot on the streets, unseen by the world. But what happens when a street kid witnesses something no one else does? What if a single moment of courage could change a man's fate, and in return, rewrite his own destiny? One night, one decision, one life hanging by a thread. What did Jamal see that made his heart race? Why did he risk everything for a stranger? And how did that one act of bravery turn his entire life around? Stay with me till the end, because this story will shock you, inspire you, and might even change the way you see the world. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And after you watch, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The city never sleeps. The streets pulse with life. Some stories are good, others bad. And Jamal, a 14-year-old homeless black kid, has witnessed it all. Every day, he roams the streets, watching people. He sees kindness and cruelty, honesty and corruption. The streets have been his home for years, and nothing escapes his sharp eyes. Jamal wasn't always homeless. Once, he had a family, a home, and a mother who tucked him in at night. But life is unforgiving. His mother passed away when he was just 8, leaving him alone in the world. His father, drowning in grief, turned to alcohol and eventually disappeared, abandoning Jamal to survive on his own. Foster care wasn't kind to him either, so he chose the streets over the system. He learned fast how to avoid danger, find food, and stay alive. One evening, Jamal sat near a small street-side café, watching the world move around him. A black luxury car pulled up, its engine purring smoothly. A well-dressed man in his late 40s stepped out. He was clearly wealthy. His watch alone could probably feed Jamal for a year. The man walked into the café and ordered a snack and a drink. Jamal kept observing, but then something caught his eye. 2 men at a nearby table exchanged glances and nodded toward the wealthy man. Jamal had seen their type before: cold, calculated, dangerous. One of them subtly reached into his pocket, pulled out a small vial, and when the waiter turned his back, slipped something into the snack: poison. Jamal's heart pounded. He knew bad people when he saw them. He had seen gangs, thieves, and con artists, but this was different. This was murder. The waiter placed the snack in front of the rich man. The man reached for the first bite. Jamal didn't think, he acted. With all his strength, he leaped forward and kicked the plate off the table. The food went flying, landing on the ground. The man gasped, turning angrily toward Jamal. "What the hell is wrong with you, kid?" the rich man growled. "Sir, please, they put something in your food." Jamal pointed at the 2 men, who immediately jumped up and tried to run. But the cafe's security guards were faster. They caught the men and restrained them. When the police arrived, they tested the food: poison. The rich man's face turned pale. He realized how close he had come to death. He looked at Jamal, truly seeing him for the first time. This street kid, dirty, barefoot, struggling, had just saved his life. The man took a deep breath. "What's your name, kid?" "Jamal." The man studied him for a moment. "Why did you do that? You could have just walked away." Jamal shrugged. "I've seen a lot of bad people do bad things, but I've also seen good people. You didn't deserve to die like that." Something in the man's heart shifted. He sat Jamal down and asked about his life. For the first time in years, Jamal told someone his story: how he lost his parents, how he ended up on the streets, how he survived each day by watching and learning. The man listened, and by the end, his eyes weren't just filled with gratitude, but also sadness. "Jamal, you saved my life. I want to change yours." Jamal frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean, come with me." At first, Jamal hesitated. He had been promised help before, only to be let down. But something in Mr. Carter's eyes told him this was different. This man wasn't just talking. He meant it. And just like that, everything changed. The man, whose name was Mr. Carter, took Jamal in. He gave him a home, clothes, food, and most importantly, an education. But Jamal struggled. He wasn't used to rules, to sitting in classrooms, to trusting people. He had spent years fighting to survive, and now he had to learn how to live. There were nights he wanted to run back to the streets where life was tough but predictable. But Mr. Carter never gave up on him. "Jamal," he would say, "you have a sharp mind. You see things most people don't. That's a gift. Don't waste it." Slowly, Jamal adjusted. He worked hard in school. He read books, studied late at night, and for the first time in his life, dreamed of a future. Years later, Jamal stood on a grand stage, wearing a suit, looking out at an audience. He was no longer a street kid. He was a motivational speaker, sharing his story with the world. And that's the thing about life, Jamal told the crowd. Sometimes, one moment of courage can change everything. I saved a man's life that night, but in truth, he saved mine. The audience erupted in applause, and in the front row, smiling with pride, sat the man whose life he had saved, the man who had saved his in return. Because sometimes all it takes is one moment of courage to change two lives forever. Jamal's story is proof that one decision, one act of courage, can change the course of a life. It's not about where you start, it's about where you choose to go. No matter how tough life gets, remember that you have the power to rise above your circumstances. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in Jamal's place? Have you ever experienced a moment where a single decision changed everything? Let's talk about it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and never stop believing in the power of change.